night, my good people. Good night, good night, good night to you. Good night. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late. I believe in punctuality, but between work commitments and commuting to work, etc., I'm a few minutes late. So my sincere apologies. Please share the live. I'm going to play this song a little while longer while you share the live. So we're going to go in a few, like 2 minutes. So please share the live and I will play Arthur's song again. So Arthur Allen, I will entertain you with his song again. I am a St. Lucian and we will start shortly. Okay, let's go. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being early in the comments. Thank you. I appreciate your presence so much. My fellow St. Lucians, you know, again, my sincere apologies for being a few minutes late. It's between work commitments, school, all of that. It's tough. It's tough coming to prepare for a show, plan for a show, running home, eating something quickly, still in my work clothes. I didn't have a chance to change and coming to present to you. But you know why I do it? I do it because I love my country. I love my St. Lucia. I love my country. And, you know, I think the words of our national anthem, and for those of us who live outside of St. Lucia, I think the words of our national anthem, wherever you may roam, love, oh love, our island home, truly resonates with me. And I'm sure those of you who are listening to me tonight who live outside of St. Lucia, it is the same for you. Put in the comments and tell me. Because you would not be investing your time on a Tuesday night to come and listen to me talk about issues of St. Lucia if you not truly love our country. And I invested in the outcomes of our country and seen our country do well. There are St. Lucians who leave St. Lucia and they go abroad and they have comfortable lives, nice jobs, nice businesses. They live certain lifestyles. And they move on and they don't want to have anything to associate with St. Lucia. That is not me. That is not me. Despite what I have achieved in Canada, despite a lifestyle I enjoy in Canada, that is not me. I cannot turn my back on my country. And despite the fact that this is a sacrifice to come here and speak, despite my time commitments, I am committed in my heart of hearts to see my country do the very best it can do. And for the St. Lucians who live abroad, put in the comments for me. I'm seeing people saying, I see Maryland. I see people from New York. I see Catherine, I'll share her post. She says, the national anthem and Arthur's song, I'm a St. Lucian, has a new meaning since living abroad. And you know, somebody said 758 to the world. My friend Jana says, yes, indeed. New York, I'm seeing so many St. Lucians who live all around the world. That's why we're here. That's why we tune into the news. That's why we read the news. That's why we stay invested in our country. Because, like I've said, we do not leave our homes and detach ourselves from our country. We invest in our country, not just for money. Our families are back in St. Lucia. Our hearts are back in St. Lucia. We love our country. And for me, I truly believe my country is underperforming. I truly believe my country can do far more than it is doing now. I truly believe that St. Lucia should be a beacon in the Caribbean, and we're falling far short of that. I truly believe for the assets which we have, for the talent we have, for the brilliant minds we have, for the creativity of our people, we are falling far beneath anything we should be achieving as a country. And that is why I come here to talk to you. That is why I remain involved in the politics of my country. Because at the end of the day, governance, the decisions that are made for my country are driven by political decisions. And that is why I'm here. And that is why I am here. That is why you are here. That is why I have raised my hand to say, I want to enter the political fray. This is why I have expressed interest in doing that. Because I truly believe I could contribute my talents, my skills, my abilities, etc. to advancing St. Lucia. Now I will get on to the substantive parts of my life. So on Saturday, the United Workers' Party held a protest in Vieux Fort to talk about the St. Jude's Hospital, where it's at, the failure of $201 million to invest in an 80-year-old derelict facility when it's a brand new state-of-the-art facility that they've left abandoned. For many reasons. And I want to say, I am truly proud of St. Lucians for turning out in support of this protest march. I am truly proud of all St. Lucians. United Workers' Party supporters, non-aligned supporters, non-aligned people, St. Lucians, I'm truly proud of you. And I want to say, for me, this march was a success because the UWP is a very conservative party. Very, very conservative. The UWP does not agitate, unlike the Labour Party, who, when in opposition, they have a march every single year. They agitate, they're protesting, they find a reason to protest, they're bringing people out, they're creating this sense of anger they're creating this sense of anger in the country. When Labour Party is in opposition, that is what they do. They agitate, they rile people up. UWP is not like that. UWP is a conservative party. And the traditional UWPs, when they're in opposition, you don't hear from them. 5 years, not a word. The government goes by, especially when John Compton was there. He very quiet, don't challenge. The government goes by. They internalize things. They may talk quietly, but they don't protest. They don't go out there. But on election morning, they're first to the polls. Things have changed. Things have changed. Things have changed. Things have changed. This conservative UWP that never agitated, they came out in Vieux Fort, to Vieux Fort, not Castries, to Vieux Fort. I was blown away by the turnout I saw. I was blown away by the turnout I saw on Saturday of concerned citizens coming from all over the island to stand up against this government, to stand up and say, we want our brand new state-of-the-art St. Jude's Hospital completed, to stand up to say this government's agreement with GPH that prohibits any development in the ports of Vieux Fort for the next 40 years is wrong. To stand up and say this government that has controlled Vieux Fort for the past 26 years with no development and is now signing a deal with the devil, basically, to prevent any further development in Vieux Fort for the next 40 years is wrong. I was blown away with the turnout. And I applaud all of you who came out to support the march. I applaud all of the organizers, the executive of the United Workers' Party, the political leader of the United Workers' Party, and the executive and everybody who turned out. I applaud our diaspora groups. Let me start with New York. New York, hats off to you. It was raining, it was cold, it was miserable in New York. But you came out. You stood in the rain in New York. You stood in the rain on Eastern Parkway. You stood in the rain. You came out with your umbrellas, with your coats, in the rain, in the cold in New York to protest against this government. If this government does not wake up and see what is happening, then something is wrong with them. People in New York came out in the rain and in the cold to stand in the streets on Eastern Parkway and Utica to make a statement. I applaud you. I applaud you. I applaud you. St. Lucians in Toronto came out. St. Lucians in Toronto came out. And let me tell you something. Y'all think Flubos at home are conservative? St. Lucians in Toronto are even more conservative because Canada is a very conservative culture. It is very difficult to get St. Lucians in Toronto out in the best of circumstances. And people came out with our signs. People left school assignments behind. I know people who have school assignments to do. Not just me. Because the one thing about UWPs, they don't just sit idly by. They make sure they advance themselves. People left school assignments. People left all kinds of things behind to come out, even for 2 or 3 hours, to mark their protest. I applaud St. Lucians at home and St. Lucians in the diaspora in New York, in Toronto for coming out. The Toronto caucus and the chair of the caucus, thank you so much for coming out. Cornelius Harrell, thank you for organizing the venue for us. I applaud you. But let me tell you, that does not mean, let me tell you something. This Labour government understands the power of the people when the people decide to stand up in solidarity against them. This Labour Party government understands the power of protest. That is why it is one of the tools. It is one of the tools they use every single year they are in opposition. Every single year they have a protest. They find a reason to protest, whether it's legitimate or not. Their last protest was to protest against the COVID protocols meant to keep St. Lucian safe. The legislation, they got into power and never changed. But they had to find a reason to protest, to bring people out, to get people angry, to agitate. Unlike the UWP, with a very legitimate concern. Very legitimate. Our St. Jude's, the abandonment of a brand new facility to invest $201 million in a derelict 80-year-old facility. And the cost of living of St. Lucia made worse by this government's decisions, made worse by the new 2.5% health and safety levy. Legitimate reasons. So let me tell you, this government will do everything in their power to stop the protest, to deflect, to distract from the successes of this protest. Let me tell you what happened. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you how this St. Lucia government operates. St. Lucia government, this SLP, let me correct this. This SLP government and their Zelevs, this SLP government and their operatives, let me tell you how they operate. So the protest march was on Saturday. We in Toronto organized a solidarity event. Hear me clearly? We organized a simultaneous solidarity event in Toronto to happen simultaneously with the event in St. Lucia. We got a church. Cornelius Harrell, thank you again, Connie. Organized for a reception room in a church where we could all gather in peaceful protest, in fellowship together as St. Lucians in Toronto, to come and commune, to talk, to write up our placards, to share a little food, to take our pictures in solidarity protests. So Cornelius organized the reception room at a church. Can I tell you, St. Lucians, can I tell you that one of the Labour Party Zelevs in Toronto, hear me clearly, when I tell you the Labour Party is a disgusting, nasty party, believe me, one of the celebs in Toronto will write a letter to the church in Toronto. So not only are they trying to victimize St. Lucians in St. Lucia, their long hand is extending to Toronto, Canada. Can you believe it? Let me read the email that came through for you on Friday. Now, I will tell you, I do not know for certain. I don't have any evidence of this. I do not have any evidence to support my suspicions. And I will state, these are my personal suspicions. I have no evidence to support my suspicions. But Minerva is no fool. Minerva is very perceptive. Minerva is sharp as a knife. Okay? I'm no fool. I have no evidence to support my suspicions, but I highly suspect that this email came from someone within a consulate in Toronto. Hear me clearly. I am not accusing the consulate, the St. Lucian consulate in Toronto. I am not. And I want to make myself abundantly clear. I have no evidence of this, but my suspicions are my own, my personal suspicions, that this email that was sent to the church came from somebody working in the St. Lucian consulate in Toronto. Let me read the email for you. The email is entitled Illegal Anti-Government Political Protest to be held at the Anglican Church at 111 Manor Road on Saturday, October 14th, 2023. The email came from one ageorge08@yahoo.ca. Sorry, the email came from, wait, Sandra Myers, 431@gmail.com. Some fake email of somebody claiming to be one Sandra Myers. That name cannot be found anywhere. That name cannot be found anywhere. And that person sent the email. Hear me clearly. When I tell you this Labour Party is trying to silence any level, this Labour Party and the operatives are trying to silence any level of dissent, both in St. Lucia, even extending outside of the shores of St. Lucia to Canada. They send the email to so Canada has its provinces. It has 10 provinces and 3 territories. So it has a provincial government. It also has a federal government. Okay? The person sends it to the provincial representative for that area where the church is. They also sent it to the federal representative for that area where the church is. They sent it to the church, the Anglican church, and they sent it to the mayor of Toronto. They sent it to the provincial member of parliament, the federal member of parliament, and the mayor of Toronto, Mayor Olivia Chow, and the church. Listen to the email. Dear all concerned, ... Now the person who was right with dear all concerned, ... You know yourself. Y'all leave clues about who y'all are. Y'all leave clues. Y'all think you're smart, but you're not bright. Y'all leave clues about who y'all are. Dear all concerned, ... The person who writes it, ... We know who you are. As a concerned resident of Don Valley West, I find myself deeply troubled by a recent flyer I received concerning a political protest scheduled for Saturday, October 14, 2023, at the Anglican Church located at 111 Manor Road, Eglinton and Bayview. So they put the intersection. This rally or protest is aimed at expressing opposition to the government of St. Lucia by political party members. Now, this person forgets that we're in a democratic country, Canada. Okay? This person, who I believe works in the St. Lucian consulate in Toronto, forgets that we are in Canada. We are Canadians. We are St. Lucians, but we are also Canadians. And we have every damn right to protest. Canada is one of the freest countries in the world. The country that accepts everybody. The most tolerant, most liberal country. And we have every damn right to protest. Okay? This rally or protest is aimed at expressing opposition to the government of St. Lucia by political party members. What's particularly concerning is that this anti-government protest, a rally, is set to take place now, listen to this, just 1 week before the scheduled official visit of Prime Minister Honorable Philip J. Pierre to Toronto on October 21, 2023. Now, Philip Pierre is supposed to be in Toronto on October 21st, 2023, which is on Saturday, right? This email came through last week, Friday. Philip Pierre's visit to Toronto was not very advertised. Very few people were aware of it. So they are making the nexus. What's particularly concerning is that this anti-government protest is a rally is set to take place 1 week before the scheduled visit of Honorable Philip J. Pierre of St. Lucia to Toronto on October 21st. So they are making the nexus between our protests and Philip Pierre's visit. They are making a connection there. Tell me if any ordinary St. Lucian in Toronto, living in Toronto, will do something like that. And you see why my suspicions are what they are? That this is coming from the St. Lucian consulate in Toronto. This is coming from somebody within the St. Lucian consulate in Toronto. That Philip Pierre is coming next week. So they're telling Mayor Olivia Chow of Toronto, they're telling the provincial rep, they're telling the federal rep, they're telling the church that Philip Pierre is coming, the Prime Minister is coming next week. So we should not have a protest the week before. Tell me if you don't think that my suspicion that it's somebody in the consulate that sent this letter is correct. They go on. In light of, listen to how nasty this person is. Putting the reputation of St. Lucia in Canada, putting the international reputation of our country on the line just to go after their political adversaries. Listen to this. In light of recent events, such as political violence and the brutal attack on innocent people in Israel, so they are making a nexus between what happened in St. Lucia, the peaceful protests we've had, the peaceful protests we had in New York and in Toronto, with what is happening in Israel. You see how low these people can go? You see how low these people can go to jeopardize the reputation of our country, to compare and make a nexus with Israel. Now I'm telling you, if you see this is somebody from St. Lucia's consulate in Toronto who is paid for by the taxpayers of St. Lucia, who is in Canada working on behalf of the people of St. Lucia, who's supposed to be protecting the name and reputation of St. Lucia, to write a letter like this, jeopardizing our name internationally and in Canada. If it is one of you in that consulate, in light of recent events such as political violence and the brutal attack on innocent people in Israel, it is disheartening to note that the political group organizing this rally or protest has been actively inciting violence, on social media against Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre's government. Can you believe those people? Can you believe those people? So they are accusing us, the political group organizing this rally of protest. So the UW Flubber Caucus in Toronto, who includes decent professionals, business people, heads of organizations in Toronto, they are telling Mayor Olivia Chow of Toronto, the Member of Parliament for Don Valley West, the federal MP, that we have been inciting violence on social media against Prime Minister Philippe's government. Can you believe those people? It's alarming that the Anglican Church would grant permission for such an event to be held on their premises. The irony of all of this is that Philippe is coming to Toronto on Saturday, and his event will be held in a church. That is the irony of this. I earnestly implore our elected government officials. So they are asking the federal MP, the Mayor of Toronto, and the federal MP to thoroughly investigate this protest and to take necessary measures to prevent this potentially illegal gathering. If this is somebody in the consulate of Toronto who's supposed to be protecting St. Lucians living in Toronto, they are telling them that we have an illegal protest where they're supposed to be, and again, I have no proof, that's my personal suspicions, where they are supposed to be protecting St. Lucians living in Toronto, where I believe this comes from. They are telling the municipal government, the provincial government, and the federal government, all three levels of government in Canada, that we are having an illegal protest. It is crucial to determine whether the organizers of this political protest have obtained the requisite police permission to ensure the safety and well-being of the community. Okay? So they're telling those officials that we are a threat to the community of Toronto by our protest in a church, that we are a threat to the community in Toronto. So we're going to go and burn down the people's houses, according to them, or whatever else. We are a threat to the community around where we're having our event. Could you believe? Could you believe the audacity and how sick these people are? We must maintain peace and security within our neighborhood and refrain from promoting any form of violence or disruption. Could you believe? Could you believe that this has come from a St. Lucian in Toronto, who I believe works in the consulate of Toronto, is telling various levels of government that we must maintain peace and security within our neighborhood and refrain from promoting any form of violence and disruption. So they're accusing us of being violence and disruption. It is deeply concerning to learn that Mr. Alan Chasney, the leader of the opposition United Workers' Party, UWP of St. Lucia, appears to have orchestrated this illegal protest alongside Minerva Ward. So Alan Chasney orchestrated this alongside me. Alan Chasney did not even know we were having the protest until it was organized. Who serves as president and CEO, and they named my company. And they put my LinkedIn address. Okay? And Cheryl Francis, the former diplomat and consul general of St. Lucia, and they put the dates she was employed from January 2017 to December 2021 under the United Workers' Party government, and they put her LinkedIn profile. The level of the involvement of someone holding such a prominent position as the president and CEO of my company in Canada in an anti-government political protest of another country is indeed troubling. And that is another reason why I believe it is somebody in the consulate of St. Lucia. The average ordinary St. Lucian living in Toronto, the average ordinary St. Lucian, they have time for that. They have time for that. To, first of all, make the nexus between when Philippia is coming a week later and our protest, to make that nexus between Philippia's visit tells me there's somebody in the consulate. The second giveaway they had, the third one, because their writing style is the first one. The third one, they are making a link between my job and St. Lucia. I don't know what my job have to do with St. Lucia. My job have nothing to do with St. Lucia, but they're trying. They're trying. They're trying. My job burning y'all, eh? It raises questions about the appropriateness of such actions and the potential implications for diplomatic relations. You see why I believe it's somebody in the consulate? For diplomatic relations and business interests. Tell me if you all don't believe it's somebody in the consulate. Tell me if you all don't believe it's somebody in the consulate in Toronto. That's my suspicion. It raises questions about the appropriateness of such actions and the potential implications for diplomatic relations and business interests. Well, let me tell the person, whether the average St. Lucian in Toronto or whether you are working for the government and people of St. Lucia in the consulate in Toronto, my job have nothing to do with the St. Lucia or the government of St. Lucia or the people of St. Lucia or nada. So stop. You're stretching, you're reaching, there's an overreach. And what you're saying, they're making no sense. Individuals in influential roles need to act responsibly and thoughtfully. Take your own advice. Considering the potential consequences of their actions on international relations. You see why I tell you all this? I believe it's somebody in the conflict. And the reputation of their organizations. What does that have to do with my organization? So you know the next thing they're going to do? You know where they're going next? But I am telling you, they are very well aware of my political involvement in St. Lucia. So you can go ahead and do what you all want to do. Go ahead. I know where you're going. Go ahead. But I will make an example out of you all. This situation calls for a closer examination of the motivations and implications. Just remember, you're in the consulate as St. Lucians. You all are diplomats. Okay? I'm a Canadian citizen. I hope you all know that. Keep messing around. This situation calls for a closer examination of the motivations and implications surrounding the participation of Minerva Ward in this protest, as it may have broader ramifications beyond the immediate context. Concerned resident Sandra Byers. This is the audacity of the St. Lucia Labour Party and their operatives and their long hand. But guess what happened, y'all? Guess what happened? So, Saturday, setting up for a protest. The peaceful protest in a church where we just come there, share food, write our placards, take our pictures, talk, live stream the protest from St. Lucia and all that. Guess what happened? Because the government of St. Lucia, the government of Canada has to act. They receive an email like that telling them that we are violent, we are threat, we are terrorists. They're concerned for the neighborhood. They're concerned for the disruption of the neighborhood. The police came there. The Toronto police came there multiple times. Can you imagine? The provincial member of parliament had to leave his Saturday and come and check on what is happening at the venue. The member of Ontario's parliament had to come and check on what is happening. The federal in Canada, in Justin Trudeau cabinet, had to send one of his aides to come and check on what is happening because all of them were copied on the email. The police came making multiple rounds to make sure there was no violence, as the email said. Could you believe that we St. Lucians in Toronto, having a peaceful protest has to be under that level of scrutiny and victimization, not just in St. Lucia, in Canada? Can you believe this Labour Party government? And if it's somebody in the consulate in St. Lucia, that is what your tax dollars are paying for, to harass St. Lucians, not just in St. Lucia, around the world. But not only that, you all are wasting Canadian taxpayers' money. You all are wasting. Because obviously, they send the email to Mayor Olivia Chow of Toronto. So it was flagged. It was out. Our event was put on the police beat. So the police had to take their time, leave critical issues in Toronto to come and check on our peaceful protests, making multiple rounds. Even when we were leaving the event, the police was there in the parking lot, making sure there was no violence, as this email said there would have been. Could you imagine this government? Could you imagine? That is what we are subjected to. Not only, if what my suspicions are correct, that it is somebody in this conflict in Toronto, not only are they wasting St. Lucian taxpayers' money, they are wasting Canadian money as well. And I have a strong sense to report this to the RCMP for investigation. I have a strong feeling to report this to the RCMP for investigation. Because you cannot be wasting. If you want to waste the money, the taxpayers' money of St. Lucia, Philippines to sit down in Toronto for, but you cannot be wasting our tax dollars in Canada. You cannot do that. I have a strong feeling to go and report you all to the RCMP and have them investigate to see where that email came from. I have a strong feeling to do that. Because you're too dirty. You're too dirty. You know what? I will do that. I will make an example out of you all. I will do that. I will report this email to the RCMP. You cannot be making false accusations, having all three levels of government wasting their resources on a Saturday, having the Toronto police basically checking on our event multiple times to the extent that they're in the parking lot and after the event when we go into our cars to go home. You cannot do that. I'm going to send this email to the RCMP for investigation. Let them deal with y'all. You're too so hot. You're too shameless. We need to make an example out of some of y'all because you're taking your liberties too far. You're taking it too far. All of this to just silence dissent. All of this to silence dissenting voices and to intimidate people. Come. I'm ready for y'all. I'm warning y'all. I'm ready for y'all. I am going to go to the RCMP with this and have them investigate it. You cannot be doing that. You cannot be doing that. You cannot be doing that. Now, let's go back to the march. Let's go back to the march. So Labour Party is very concerned about the turnout of our march. They are very, very, very concerned about how mobilized, how organized UWP is in opposition 2.5 years after the election. They're very concerned because they've never seen Flubbo so vocal, so outspoken, so assertive, and pushing back on the nonsense. They have never seen it. Very concerned. Take my advice. I've been in the camp. They are very wary. So of course, they have to look for anything. They have to look for anything to distract, from the message of the march. Anything to distract from the numbers, the huge turnout in Vieux Fort. Anything to distract. So immediately what they're going to do, in true Labour Party style, in true Labour Party form, they took a video of, and before I go there, Calypso, Old Mass, solo drumming and dancing and the music they sing, all of these are St. Lucian forms, are St. Lucian cultural forms of protest. Calypso, hear me again, Calypso, all mass, solo, the music they sing are St. Lucian cultural forms of protest. St. Lucians use these forms of communication to voice their displeasure, their dissent, especially people who don't have access to the media, who don't have access to the formal structures of voicing their dissent. So the average, ordinary St. Lucians will go sing Calypso to criticize the government. They will put an old mass costume with a sign and pampers and whatever they want to put to poke fun at elected officials. Or through their drumming and dancing and the music they sing, they will voice their dissent if protest. This was no different on Saturday. So Sasho and Candia had their pampers over their outfits to poke fun at a minister who renowned and respected and reputable journalist, Rick Wayne, who's won national honors, had no choice but to call a mongrel by virtue of his behavior on his talk shows in Parliament and everywhere else. A journalist who's won our national honors had to resort to calling him a mongrel because there's no better word to describe him. Sasha and Candia put their pampers over their thing in their all mass costume, you know, to show the pamper mongrel, pamper terrier, as Spider called him. Labour Party took it, they removed the drumming and dancing from the solo, and they put their Teletubby music over. No problem, no problem. All fair in love and war. You can do your thing, no problem. Y'all want to distract from the message of the march. Sure, y'all change your thing, y'all put your music, y'all laughing and kiki. No problem, y'all do your thing. What I have the issue with is when officials of government will use a manipulated and a doctored video to make official statements. And this is why I have to speak about Alison Joe. Now, before I go to Alison Joe, the Labour Party now is taking every single video and manipulating it, cutting and piecing little bits and pieces together to change and distort entirely what has happened. Entirely. So I'm asking you to be very wary and very aware of this. And do not be fooled by the propaganda machinery. Okay? Do not be fooled. Labour Party has a page called Starstruck. That page pushed so much propaganda before the election. Since the election, the page had gone dormant. In fact, they had deactivated the page, period, because they're rich. They win. They're rich. They deactivated the page. Now, because of the pressure in their data, according to Norbert, because of the pressure in their data, they have reactivated the page. And instead of posting the achievements of the government, all they can do is cut and paste little pieces of videos to change the entire picture of what is happening or what is said or what actually took place. I am asking you to be very wary of the Labour Party propaganda machinery. Be very wary about just believing videos you see of the Labour Party because they have been cut and pasted and heavily edited to distort the meanings of things. So, they did that with the video of Candy and Sasho dancing and drumming and dancing at the solo. So Alison Jean doesn't see anything better to do than to go to a Grosley AGM, Labour Party AGM, and chastise Candia and Sasho for their all mass costumes. Here's the video. Here is the video. Let me get you this video.
Us When you see the color red,
let me get it for you. 1 second.
you see class. Upa we PS Teletubbies on the stage. Us. When you see the color red, you see class. Upa we PS Teletubbies on the stage.
So this is the video of the solo. This is the video of the solo where Sasha, Candia, Shane is drumming, people dancing and stuff. This is the video they've taken and superimposed the Teletubby song on. Now I have no problem. Labour Party doing their thing. I have no problem. They're doing their thing. They have to distract. They have to change everything. But for a government senator to be at an AGM of the sitting government party, the sitting party in government, and for her to be chastising these women and calling them Teletubbies. Listen again.
Red, you see class. Upa we PS Teletubbies on the stage.
Nous parlons l'hôpital qui nous galvanise. Nous voulons l'hôpital hélicoptère qui posé.
When I woke up this morning, what I saw on Facebook was so shameful that I said if anyone from the St.Lucia Labour Party did that, I would denounce them publicly. Ou pas ça dit moi zot se femme. Zot ka mette pampo.
So, Alison Joe, you want to sit on your fake moral perch and denounce Sasha and Candia for Pampers in an all-mask costume to express their displeasure at this government and dancing solo, our cultural music. You want to sit on your high horse denouncing them. You're not ashamed for the bum wall, the first priority of your government? Over anything else, over healthcare, everything else, the bum wall for women to come and mate on the wall. You're not ashamed for that. As their right to do, they're in carnival. I'm nobody to judge. You all have not heard me criticize anybody's behavior about carnival. That's not my place to judge. Okay? But I am pointing out the hypocrisy of Alison Joe. You have not come and denounced that. But you want to come and denounce and criticize two women who have worn an all-mask costume in a protest to express their displeasure for our government. Now, Alison Joe is the hypocrisy I cannot take about this Labour Party. And it's the hypocrisy of the Labour Party that has Flubbo so annoyed. Okay? You are a senator, a government senator. You have not denounced anything pertaining to women. We had this government had put in an acting police commissioner who had accusations of sexual assault. Okay? Sexual assault. And it's only after pressure they finally moved him. You sat in the Senate defending his acting position. You never once denounced it. Allegations of sexual assault. And Alison Joe, with all due respect and with all empathy, you have said that you have been a victim of that. You have lived the experience. You should have been the first one sitting in Parliament. You and the other members of the lower house to tell the Prime Minister you cannot have a police commissioner with these things hanging over his head. You never denounced it. But you want to come and shame Sasha and Candia? Not one bit. Not one bit. So many pressing priorities as a woman who's been given the unique role the privileged role of sitting in parliament as a senator. You've not once advocated for issues of women, but you want to sit on your fake moral high horse, your fake perch, and come and shame Candia and Sasho? Not one bit. I will also tell you, I saw a comment from you on Facebook where Alan Chasney was doing an interview at St. Jude's. Did nothing wrong. The police asked him, he gave him permission to stand right there. Then the police said, you need to come out from there. They gave him permission and they asked him to change. He did it. You stood on Facebook and saying, arrest him, arrest him. You, Alison Joe. You are calling for Alan Chasney's arrest. Arrest. You call for Alan Chasney's arrest for doing nothing wrong, for being a legal protest, for getting the approval of the police to stand where he was standing to do his interview by St. Jude's. You calling for Alan Chasney's arrest? Alison Joe, let me remind you, when your son Botham Joe was killed in Texas, let me remind you that it was Alan Chasney who paid first-class tickets for you and your entire family to fly to Texas, paid for your hotels in Texas. He asked Stephenson King to go and support you in Texas. Stephenson King said no. Stephenson King refused to go. Alan Chasney was on a business trip. He diverted his business trip to come to Texas to give you the support, to make sure you had the heir, the mayor, the governor, and everybody you needed to support you in Texas. And today, you asking to arrest Alan Chasney for doing nothing wrong? You see your wicked woman? You see your wicked woman, Alison Shaw? Lisa Joie here. Let me come to you. Lisa Joie here. Lisa Joie here. I want to point out your hypocrisy. I want to point out your hypocrisy. Because at that very same Grosley AGM, Lisa Joahir went on a thing and denouncing. I'll play the video for you.
What I took issue with yesterday is when the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is doing their job and leaders disrespect the police. I have an issue with that. And I think we need to demand of Joycelyn Fletcher and Alan Chasney to apologize to the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. Respectful. But Joycelyn Fletcher, a former ambassador of the United Workers' Party, is on camera saying, take the names of the police and take the photos of the police, and when we come into government, we will deal with them. United Workers' Party has to apologize. And when Senator Alison just say, arrest him, guess what? She famous on Facebook now because they want to say they come in for her.
This is the hypocrisy of the Labour Party that upsets and frustrates Flabos. That upsets and frustrates Flabos. That is the hypocrisy. They always want an apology. They always want an apology. They do. Their behavior is atrocious. They break the law and make justifications for it. They break the law with impunity, and there's always a justification for it. There are two sets of laws. One for Labour, when they can do whatever the heck they want, and another for Flabo, where they have to behave. And if they dare say anything that does not suit the narrative, they have to apologize. Two sets of rules. That's why Flabo is getting very upset, very frustrated, and that is why they are saying definitely not and fighting back. These double standards and the one set of rules for you and another set for us. This tale of two St. Lucias where the Labour Party can do whatever they want. They can break the law with impunity and nothing for that. And once Flubbo do anything, they want to sit on their fake high horse and ask for an apology. Not one bit.
Dear people, my dear people, permission was not granted to you to have a match today. My dear people, you need to understand that a match under the Public Order Act
But the Prime Minister, we were driving.
We're not doing nothing.
So this was, if you remember, this was June in 2020. This was June 2020, where Richard Frederick with Christopher Hunt organized a protest in the middle of COVID, without police permission. Organized a protest without police approval, an illegal motorcade. The police is telling them, my dear people, you do not have permission for this march. You do not have permission for this march. The same Lisa Joie here, who wants Jocelyn Fletcher to apologize for protest with permission. She was very much part and parcel of this protest, this illegal protest. But listen to her comments. Listen to her comments. I'm going to go back a bit.
They want to say they're coming for her.
My dear people, permission was not granted to you to have a match today. My dear people, you need to understand that a match under the Public Order Act.
But the Prime Minister, we were driving.
We're not doing nothing. It can be motorcycle, it can be bicycle, it can be
People, I just got to cul-de-sac. I'm about to board another vehicle and there's a block. They're blocking people because we cannot exercise our rights. They stop a whole bus, Castries Southeast persons, telling people that you cannot move forward because you have a red shirt on you. And because you have red, it means that you are protesting. So you in your own vehicle and you're going around the country and police want to stop you from exercising your rights to stand up against a government with its knee on your neck? That is ridiculous. This is what is going on. Blocking the road. Sipal Holdings, look. Why is the police blocking the road? That is what I want to know, Mr. Prime Minister. Tell us. Why is the police blocking the road? You see the line of vehicles on there? You stop in every single vehicle to see who has a license. Okay. But you're trying your best to stop this motorcade. Like, dissatisfied. Like, what is going on?
Every time I watch that video, folks, I feel the same way. I feel injustice. I feel targeted. I feel like I have a voice, but that voice will not be heard because those in authority.
So she was part and parcel of chastising the police in the middle of their illegal march or protest, their motorcade. The police read in the legislation. She was part and parcel of that, chastising the police in 2020, okay? Because she figured shots they must go, okay? Very much part and parcel of and criticizing the police for their blockades. But today, and at the time, hear what she's saying. She feels targeted. I feel targeted. I feel frustrated.
Stop this motorcade. Like, dissatisfied. Like, what is going on? What is going on? What is going on? What is going on?
Listen to the hypocrisy.
Every time I watch that video, folks, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. I feel injustice. I feel targeted. I feel like I have a voice, but that voice will not be heard because those in authority will do whatever they want anyway.
Pillar! Stop the nonsense. Stop the hypocrisy. Stop the hypocrisy. That is what I cannot take about this Labour Party. This is what I cannot take about the Labour Party. The tale of two St. Lucias. One set of rules for them, one set for the UWP. She feels injustice. She feels targeted. She feels victimized. She's in the middle of an illegal protest they had no government permission for, in the middle of COVID. But today she wants to be on Jocelyn Fletcher's tail or back. Lisa. And you're another one. You're another government senator. You're another one. So many important issues. So many women's issues for you to speak about in Parliament. You keep your flappers shut. You keep your mouth shut. But today you're on Jocelyn Fletcher's case. That's why I have no time and tolerance for people like you and Alison Joe. Because you're convenient. Your vision is convenient. You speak about issues where it suits your narrative. All four of you women in the House of Parliament. You, Alison Joe, Virginia Albert, and Emma Hippolyte. A waste of women in the House. When you're supposed to be speaking about issues affecting women. Guy Joseph say, y'all are just behaving just like men in Parliament. We always say we want women in Parliament. Y'all represent women. There's so many critical issues. There's so many critical issues that for y'all to be speaking in the House. Nothing from y'all. Your mouth shut frap. But the hypocrisy. Lisa, where was your voice? Let me get this video for you. Let me line this up. I want to know, where was Lisa? I want to know, where was Lisa when in 2020, you might have already been a government senator, a Labour Party senator, or at least you had the platform to speak like everybody else, like I do, like everybody else has. Where were you when this was happening? Because I didn't hear a word from you. Let me get this.
Multiple individuals.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't try.
Despite being questioned several times.
Lisa, where were you? Where were you when Richard Frederick, Albert Fridges, and a few others pushed past police, shoved the police, and trespassed on private property on the Pito? Private property, onto somebody's private construction site. Where was your voice? Hypocrites. Where was your voice?
The individual identified as an officer declined to explain his presence on the individuals.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't try. Don't try.
Despite being questioned several times, the individual identified as an officer declined to explain his presence on the site.
I am willing to work with you now, but what is your legitimacy here?
You are the ex-police officer asking me these kind of questions.
No, you're telling me you're here?
You are an ex-police officer. You are my commanding officer. You are the one.
Indeed, so you cannot tell me about policing. So I'm trying to find out what authority you have.
I don't have to tell you.
But you have to, because
you know I don't have
if you're going to treat me as a trespasser, you have to tell me under what authority you're treating me as a
What did I say?
Private property,
right? I don't know that necessarily was there.
Are you working in a private capacity right now?
I don't have to answer that, darling.
But you have...
It is private property. The officer have to tell you in what capacity he's trespassing on somebody's private property. Property on the Peter that you, the Labour Party, gave developmental incentives, sold under a Labour Party government. You incentivize as a developer under the Labour Party. You're gonna be in power for 2.5 years. All a royal make, pushing past police, pushing the police. Gonna be with private property. You're gonna be in power for 2.5 years. Have you done anything about it? No. Okay? Incentivized under y'all. Where is Lisa? Where was Lisa's voice to say this is wrong? Where was her voice?
Because you are here trying to treat us as trespassers.
So are you here in the orders of the commissioner or the RSLPF or in a private capacity?
You can figure it out how as you want to.
Our news team was unable to confirm whether the officer in question was there on RSLPF.
Irrelevant. They were trespassing on somebody's private property. Okay? Nothing from Lisa then. But you want an apology from Joycelyn Fletcher. Lisa, you have no moral authority to ask for no apology from anybody. Because your morality is very convenient. So hush. Now, I want to show you a video. Hold on. Now, we heard last week Thursday. Government Minister Richard Frederick on his show last week Thursday admit that the police feeds him information so that somebody should have a file big so. He have a file big so, according to him. Feeds him information that he's collating information about private citizens for him to use in the manner which he chooses. So the police is giving him information on private citizens in matters which have nothing to do with his own. Hear me clearly, okay? He has admitted, mouth open, story jump out. Mouth open, story jump out. I'm trying to get this video lined up for you. Just 1 second. Let me just line up this video for you. Give me 1 second. He has admitted that the police is giving him information on private citizens in matters that have nothing to do with him. Okay? I may have a matter with John. John may have a matter with Mary. Mary's and John's matter have nothing to do with my matter with John. But the police is giving me information on matters that John has to do with Mary, Jill, Jack, Jane, Sandra, Sarah, that have absolutely nothing to do with my own. And a government minister who has been under scrutiny is admitting that the police feeds him information. And if you will remember, this government minister has been accused by the Kenny Anthony's Labour Party of being the scariest thing in St. Lucian politics. He has been named in the impacts report. His name has been mentioned in the impacts report. One of the people who was killed in an extrajudicial killing, in the impacts report, it says that he told it is reported that he went to the police to report a hit on his life. And the police gave Richard Frederick information. Listen to this. And Richard Frederick is confirming this. Listen to this.
Of the impacts report dealt with the assassination of Reginald Jean, a man widely regarded as St. Lucia's most...
So Reginald Jean is beige. Okay? So this is from the impacts report. You want to hear me clearly? This is from the impacts report on the extrajudicial killings, the 12 extrajudicial killings from 2010 to December 2011. This is the impacts report. Okay? And remember, we brought on Jamaican police officers to investigate. This is from the impacts report. I want you to listen carefully.
Of the impacts report dealt with the assassination of Reginald Jean, a man widely regarded as St. Lucia's most prolific hitman and a close associate of Richard Frederick. Prior to the death of Reginald Jean, he had reported to the RSPF that he did killings and...
Prior to the death of Reginald Jean, he had reported to the police that he did killings and stole drugs and money for a former government minister. The impacts report names the former government minister. Okay? Jean reported that a $300,000 bounty was placed on his head by RF. And he made a report to the Central Intelligence Unit, CIU, where he was interviewed and a file compiled in respect of this report. After this report, the bounty was raised by $100,000, as it was reported by Reginald Jean that a copy of the report was leaked to the said minister. You're not hearing me? In the impacts report, it says that the police, somebody came in to say that there's a hit on their life for $300,000, a bounty on their life. It was raised by another $100,000. So somebody, a former government minister, okay, a bounty was placed on Beji's head by RF, okay? The name of the government minister is redacted, but you could speculate on who the RF means, which government minister, which former government minister has their initials RF, okay? A bounty was placed on his head and it was increased. He went and reported to the police, obviously in fear for his life. And reported that a copy of the report he made to the police was leaked to the minister. We know what happened to Beige after that. He was killed by police. His father said the people told him he would die. He knew exactly what day because it was a setup. There's another interview where his father is saying his son was murdered by the police. A copy of the report made to the police was leaked to the minister, Richard Frederick.
Most prolific hitman and a close associate of Richard Frederick. Prior to the death of Reginald Jean, he had reported to the RSPF that he did killings and stole drugs and money for a former government minister. Jean reported that a $300,000 bounty was placed on his head by Richard Frederick, and he made a report to the Central Intelligence Unit. After this report, Reginald Jean reported the bounty was raised by $100,000, and a copy of the report was leaked to the minister.
And all what I say, I have a file big so. You know, I have a file big so. Because the police officers just started feeding me with the information I needed.
To the minister.
And all what I say, I have a file big so. You know, I have a file big so. Because the police officers just started feeding me with the information I needed.
Why is Richard Frederick still sitting in cabinet? Why is Richard Frederick still sitting in cabinet? After this admission that the police are feeding him with information, why has he not been relieved of his ministerial duties and an independent investigation launched into his own admission that the police are feeding him with information on private citizens? Why has no investigation been launched into both Richard Frederick and the police? I joined the calls of Alan Chasney and the UWP of asking Philip Pierre to relieve Richard Frederick from his duties as minister, investigate this matter, and come back to the St. Lucian public and let us know the findings of this report. That cannot go unchallenged. This, at every level of governance, this is wrong. This is criminally wrong. This is wrong on every level. When citizens have to be concerned that they cannot trust the police, and let me make this abundantly clear, I support the police 100%. I have done several lives when I've said, Facebook lives, where I've said I stand with the police. When the police is under fire, I stand with the police. My record is there to show I stand with the police, I support the police. But they are rogue police officers. But when a minister of government is so emboldened that he can admit that the police are feeding him, his words, feeding him with information on a matter that has nothing to do with him, how can we ever trust the police? This is a breach of the Police Act. This is the state our country has come to. St. Lucians, we cannot take this lightly. Matters that should be confidential to the police, people going in to report matters, and you are telling the people who have reported, the same people who they have reported, you going back and tell them. So Beige went to the police and telling me there's a bounty on his life placed by Richard Frederick, placed by a government minister. The bounty has been increased. He's in fear for his life. He made a report to the police, and the police went right back and told Richard Frederick. And today he's dead, killed by the police. And today this government minister is in our cabinet telling us the police is feeding me information. And he's still sitting there in Philippe's cabinet. Only in St. Lucia that can happen. Only in St. Lucia that can happen. Only in St. Lucia. St. Lucians, what are you going to do about that? Type in the chat for me. Type in the chat for me what you're going to do about that. I want you to type in the chat, because I'm not going to come here and sit here and take 2 hours of my time and come and talk to you all about that, just for you all to be entertained and for you all to go to bed. Type in the chat what you intend to do with the information that I have just provided with you, that we've been talking about. Type it in the chat. And let's say those see action. I'm not bothering to come and waste my time here. What are you going to do now that you are aware that a government minister is admitting that the police are feeding him this information? So our police as an institution has been corrupted. We can no longer trust the police. An institution I have defended, I have protected, I have stood with. We can, no citizen, after this admission, by a government minister's own admission, the police are feeding him with information about somebody who has a matter with. The same way with Beige. Tell me what you're going to do in the chat. I'm not seeing comments. Please put in the chat for me what you're going to do. Because I can't. It is pointless. It is pointless. People have meetings, have rallies, have town halls, have press conferences. It's important. It's pointless. People come and talk, and we just talk to infinitum. What are St. Lucians prepared to do? I'm reading the comments. If you are prepared to just take this information, go to bed, wake up tomorrow and talk and not do anything, we have a problem. Because you're already it. St. Lucians need to be outraged. Outraged. Don't come and tell me what you want other people to do. Tell me what you intend to do from tomorrow. Write it in the comments. Tell me what you, because we as St. Lucians have to take personal responsibility. Unless we don't take personal responsibility for righting the wrongs in our country, We will never get anywhere. St. Lucians have a reputation of being very passive and docile. What do you intend to do? I am doing what I can do from where I am. That's why I'm here. What do you intend to do? Write it in the chat. Not what you want other people to do. Write it in the chat what you will do from tomorrow. How could citizens, how could St. Lucians trust the police? We know that trust is at an all-time low for the police. When a government minister can come and admit that the police is feeding him information, where your files big so, where somebody who came to the police to tell them there's a bounty of $300,000 on his head by this very same government minister, and he ends up dead, and tells before he dies, before he's killed by police, that the police report has been leaked to him. Do you understand? This person came to report to the police there's a $300,000 bounty on his head. Came back to report to the police that the bounty had been raised to $400,000. And said that the report he made to the police was leaked to the very same person who had put the bounty on his head, according to him. And then he later on, shortly thereafter, he's killed by police. St. Lucia is a democracy, and this person is in our cabinet. Bold enough to tell us on a talk show that the police is still feeding him with information, and he's still there. And Philippe has not removed him. And we sit down there passive as St. Lucians. We're going about our business tomorrow like nothing had happened. In our country, a democracy, do you all not understand what is happening?
Judge, I will ensure that I speak to Philip J. Pierre in that regard. I know he will jump on board. I know Healer will jump on board. I know Sean will jump on board. I know Alpha Kenny and everybody else will jump on board. Leo Clark, get your house in order, because we need around the island anti-Shasney campaign. This is nonsense. This is bullshit going on.
The country must note that many of these measures need to be sustained.
So this was Richard Frederick. This was Richard Frederick advocating for an illegal motorcade in the middle of COVID in 2020. An illegal motorcade. The same one Lisa Joie here was chastising the police for, that the police said they have no approval for. That was Richard Frederick telling St. Lucians to come out, that they do not need police permission, which is wrong. They actually do. In the middle of COVID, when we're trying to fight a global pandemic and keep people safe.
Regard, I know he will jump on board. I know Healer will jump on board. I know Sean will jump on board. I know Alpha Kenny and everybody else will jump on board. Leo Clark, get your house in order, because we need around the island anti-Shasney campaign. This is nonsense. This is bullshit going on.
The country must note that many of these measures need to be sustained in an effort to achieve low COVID-19 levels in country. Some of the measures that have been instituted include school closure, national zoning to manage population movement, the closure of non-essential businesses, travel restrictions, the partial national shutdown, and the instituting of a 24-hour curfew.
No permission to drive your vehicle. So we are driving around the island. We are stopping in every constituency. Peep, you will be at the front. Trust me, you and your guys will be at the front. The candidates that are already, that as the sitting candidate, not candidates really, the members of...
I want to know that. Never. I want to know. Yeah. I want to know. Tell everybody so everybody knows. Those who have vehicles, Just make sure we drive very quickly till we reach by the gap of our show. Everybody just line up behind and we go in for our drive. Once we get out of town, we think everything will take place. Those who need buses. Yeah, the buses are by DAX. No, the buses are by DAX and they're coming. The buses are coming. Okay? So why they stop the music? We have to dictate. The police are telling us how to do it because they have to do their job. So they're telling us how we can do it in smart. All we have to do is just do our thing in smart. You see, I'm not speaking on the speaker there. Tell everybody what I'm telling you. Same speak. Okay? Because basically once you go out and we start making a big thing of it, then they come to arrest each of us, kind of a thing. But once we go in smart, we do it.
We busting our
Don't touch me! What happened there? Don't push me! Don't try! Don't try!
Despite being questioned several times, the individual identified as an officer declared.
Not only did I not use any obscenity, but they were bold enough to manipulate what I said. They were bold enough to add obscenity to it, and they were bold enough to type a script on the screen to make you believe that is what Richard Frederick actually said.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll be back.
They wanted people to believe what they wanted, not what I said. This ought not be ascribed to me. I never said those things or that word.
A St. Lucian government minister. This is what our country has come to. This is what our country has come to. And Philip Pierre keeps him there because he's Philip Pierre's noisemaker. Because he will be out there barking at everybody and anybody who has legitimate criticisms of his government. Rick Wayne came out and spoke against Philip Pierre's insulting St. Lucians by calling them short and tall. He came for Rick Wayne. Everybody he comes for on his show in the most demeaning and disgusting ways. Not just political opponents, ordinary citizens. There was a time, St. Lucian politicians, they would make preempts of each other. They would criticize each other. But the criticisms were contained among politicians. Now Richard Frederick has taken politics to St. Lucia to a new law, where he uses his show as a national platform to berate and insult and attack citizens, not just political opponents, citizens in the most demeaning way. But Philip Pierre keeps him there because he's Philip Pierre's biggest mouthpiece and defender. This person is in our cabinet of St. Lucia, our great St. Lucia. I should say our country that should be great. This is the place that St. Lucia has fallen. This is the state we have come to. I am calling on Philip Pierre to relieve Richard Frederick from his ministerial duties and launch an independent investigation into the statements that he made that police are feeding the information. This person cannot remain in our cabinet. And I'm asking all St. Lucians to be equally outraged, that this cannot pass for any level of governance in St. Lucia. It cannot. And hear what Philip Pierre will say today. Let me set this up for you. So Philip Pierre, the same Philip Pierre who has told Labour Party supporters to go into the faces of people in the opposition and tell them in their faces, you lose, I beat you. The same Philip Pierre who tells journalists who ask legitimate questions about issues that we St. Lucians have every right to ask and tell them that's not their business. Tells them that he never went to Vieux Fort. Tries to talk over them so the questions that they're asking about impact will not be heard. Tries to stop them, disrupt them from asking their question so we will not hear the question that they're asking about impacts. And the fact that some arrests in the killing of Beige are imminent, and asking him if he's not concerned that a member of his cabinet may be implicated in the killing of Beige. He crosses over the journalists, so his question will not be picked up by the media, will not be heard. He tells him that it's not his business to ask questions about impacts. Tells him that when he asks about impacts, tells him he's not a police officer, that's the operational matters. He doesn't get involved in operational matters. Impacts is not an operational matter. It is not an operational matter. Philippe Pierre, who insults people, calls them short and tall, big belly, bald head, all kinds of things. Today, another hypocrite. That's where Lisa and Alison learning from, the Labour Party. What? There are two sets of St. Lucia. Two St. Lucias, a tale of two St. Lucias. One set of rules for the Labour Party and another for the UWP. And once UWP dares step out of line, they want to go on their moral high horse. Well, not one bit. Not one bit. UWP is not going to be defined by the Labour Party. Okay? We are not going to sit in the box that you have created for us while you abuse, you berate, you bully, you attack, you demean, you undermine. No. We want a country of real unity, real togetherness. Not a Labour Party that asks Flabo to unite while they divide. No, we will not accept that. We will hold your feet to the fire. Lead by example. Today, Philippe Pierre gets on his moral high horse, on his moral perch. The same man asking Labour Party supporters to go in people's face and say, I beat you. The same one who's not said anything to the Speaker of the House, Claudius Francis, when he told Labour Party supporters to fight back. To fight back. Fight back. Use a bazooka. He will use a bazooka. He will use a bazooka at his opponents. The same Philippe Pierre will come on Facebook today with a post that reads, anger is a destructive force that seeks to divide and promote fear. Hatred and anger threaten the stability of our democracy and peace-loving society. Differences need not lead to vitriolic disputes. Peace must always prevail. Peace cannot be achieved through violence. It can only be attained through understanding. Philippe Pierre, you're not ashamed? Philippe Pierre is coming to have that post today. And let me play his video for you. Let me play his video.
Basically, what I want to leave is a country that is more equitable, a country where meritocracy rules, a country where every man and woman, every boy and girl will love St. Lucia. We think that St. Lucia belongs to them. We'll see this is really a beautiful country. It's a beautiful country. And we need to ensure that each one believes they can make a country with less bitterness. Let's discord. A country where we can live together in harmony, in spite of the fact that we have differences in opinion, but that hatred and that venom and that call for anger. Unlike a country where that's diminished.
People, can you all believe that Philippe Pierre said that? Can you all believe? Can you all believe?
Basically, what I want to leave is a country that is more equitable, a country where meritocracy rules, a country where every man and woman, every boy and girl will love St. Lucia. We think that St. Lucia belongs to them. We'll see this is really a beautiful country. It's a beautiful country.
It's a beautiful country, but
and we need to ensure that each one believes they can make a contribution to our country. I want a country where there is less bitterness, there's less discord.
Really?
A country where we can live together in harmony, in spite of the fact that we have differences in opinion, but that hatred and that venom, and that call for anger.
Philippe Pierre.
and like a country.
Hatred and venom and the cause for anger. Do you not listen to your own government minister on a Thursday insult citizens in the worst way? Haven't you heard yourself name call, insult people short and tall, all kinds of things? Ask people to fight to get in people's face and telling you, you lose, I beat you? Philippe, haven't you heard yourself? You need to look in the mirror. You need to put a mirror up to your own government, Philippe. These words mean nothing. Your actions say everything. St. Lucians, it is 10 o'clock. It is 2 minutes to 10. I'm going to leave you right now. But like I asked you, what are
if anyone is guilty for the bloodshed?
Sorry. What are you prepared to do as a St. Lucian to protect not your party, but your country? What are you prepared to do? Tonight, when you lay down in your bed, before you say your prayers or after you say your prayers, ask yourself that question. Talk to your husband and talk to your wife. What are you prepared to do? Because it cannot just be an opposition. It cannot just be on a few. It cannot just be on a few of us who speak out. What are you? Each of us have a responsibility, a civic duty to stand up for our country. And I am asking you, every single one of you, to examine yourself and ask yourself, what are you prepared to do to save and rescue St. Lucia from the abyss that it falls, it now finds itself? What are you prepared to do? St. Lucians, thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you so much for taking your time to listen to me tonight. We had almost 800 views, live views, and I thank you so much for your attention and your conversations in the chat. I really appreciate you being here, and I'm just asking you to reflect. So have a wonderful night, everybody. I will leave some music on while you ponder on the words I've said. Thank you, St. Lucia. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a good night, everybody. Sleep well. Have a restful, peaceful night. And tomorrow we wake up and we take a stand for our country. We have to. We have to join hands across the political divide in taking a stand for our country. Love you, St. Lucia. Love you. Sleep well, everybody. Take care.